Welcome to Discover Top 5, where we bring you the most fascinating and insightful lists from around the world. Whether you're looking for the top destinations, the most unusual facts, or the most mind-blowing phenomena, you're in the right place. Every week, we dive deep into the things that make the world tick, bringing you content that's both entertaining and thought-provoking. I'm your host, and in today's video, we're going to explore one of the most pressing and impactful topics that's shaping conversations across the globe: immigration. From the way countries handle immigration policies to the lives of those affected by these decisions, we're about to uncover some eye-opening truths about how different places treat undocumented immigrants. If you're passionate about understanding social issues, global policies, and the real challenges faced by individuals and families across the world, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our top 5 breakdowns. We've got tons of incredible content coming your way. Now, let's jump into today's countdown, where we're about to look at some of the toughest states in the US for undocumented immigrants and explore why these regions stand out for their strict laws and enforcement. Trust me, this is going to be an eye-opening journey. So, let's get started.
South Carolina has long been known as a tough place for undocumented immigrants. The state's approach to immigration has become even more restrictive in recent years, particularly during the Trump administration. South Carolina is home to around 88,000 undocumented immigrants, making up about 2% of its total population. Many of these individuals come from Mexico and Honduras, with Mexican immigrants accounting for nearly half of the undocumented population. Despite their significant presence, immigrants in South Carolina face numerous challenges. The South Carolina Illegal Immigration Reform Act, for instance, prohibits undocumented individuals from attending public institutions of higher education or receiving state-funded public benefits. This effectively limits educational opportunities for young immigrants, creating barriers to upward mobility and integration into society. The state's agricultural industry, which heavily relies on immigrant labor, could also face disruptions due to increased immigration enforcement. Local authorities, particularly in Spartanburg County, have expressed support for the aggressive deportation policies of the Trump administration, adding to the climate of fear in the community. Many immigrants live with U.S.-born children, contribute positively to their local communities, and support the economy, yet they are continually threatened by the possibility of deportation. Mississippi may not have the largest immigrant population, but it is no stranger to harsh immigration policies. The state's economy, especially in sectors like agriculture and construction, relies heavily on immigrant labor. Despite their contributions, undocumented immigrants often find themselves marginalized, without legal protections, and vulnerable to exploitation. The lack of resources and infrastructure to support immigrant communities makes Mississippi a particularly challenging place for undocumented individuals. As with many other states, the Trump administration's aggressive immigration enforcement efforts have increased the frequency of ICE operations, resulting in widespread arrests and deportations. This has created an environment of fear, making it difficult for many immigrants to access essential services like health care and education. Despite the fear and uncertainty, many immigrants continue to support Mississippi's economy, but they do so under constant threat of deportation. Arizona has been a focal point in the national conversation about immigration due to its proximity to the U.S.-Mexico border. This geographical advantage means that Arizona is a common entry point for immigrants seeking a better life. However, the state's strict immigration laws have made life difficult for many undocumented individuals. Proposition 314, passed in Arizona, criminalizes illegal entry into the state outside official ports of entry.
This law grants local law enforcement the power to arrest and deport individuals without proper documentation. As of 2018, there were around 330,000 undocumented immigrants living in Arizona, but the state's foreign-born population has been growing steadily. Immigrants contribute significantly to Arizona's economy, comprising a substantial portion of the labor force and supporting industries like agriculture and construction. However, under the Trump administration, immigration enforcement has become even more aggressive. Deportations have increased, and policies like the Stay in Mexico program and attempts to end birthright citizenship have added further uncertainty for immigrant communities. Pro-immigrant organizations in Arizona have worked to provide legal support and advocacy, but the state's tough stance on immigration continues to create significant challenges for undocumented residents. Although West Virginia is not typically associated with immigration issues, it still presents unique challenges for undocumented immigrants. The state's rural nature and limited job opportunities make it less attractive to immigrants seeking work, yet those who do settle in West Virginia often face isolation and difficulty accessing essential services. West Virginia's political climate, which leans conservative, has led to policies that are not particularly supportive of immigrant communities. The Trump administration's national crackdown on illegal immigration has affected the state as well, with local law enforcement often cooperating with federal immigration authorities. This cooperation has raised concerns among immigrant communities, who live in constant fear of raids and deportations. Despite these challenges, some community organizations in West Virginia are working to support immigrants. Although their resources are limited, the state's approach to immigration enforcement often leaves undocumented individuals without the resources they need to thrive. Texas has long been at the center of the debate over immigration. With its proximity to Mexico and the largest border with the country, Texas is a major entry point for undocumented immigrants. The state has witnessed significant changes in its approach to immigration under the Trump administration, particularly with initiatives like Operation Lone Star, which focuses on securing the border and reducing illegal crossings. Governor Greg Abbott has been a strong advocate for stricter immigration policies, and his administration has implemented measures to enhance enforcement, such as transporting migrants to sanctuary cities like New York and Washington, D.C. These actions have made Texas a challenging place for undocumented immigrants, as the state's strict immigration laws and lack of sanctuary jurisdictions contribute to an unwelcoming atmosphere. Despite the challenges, immigrants contribute significantly to Texas's economy, particularly in industries like agriculture and construction. A 2006 study suggested that undocumented immigrants contribute more to the state than they cost, but the data has not been updated in years. In 2021, Texas was home to around 1.6 million undocumented immigrants, but the political climate remains tense and deeply divided over immigration reform. Iowa may not be a state most people associate with immigration issues, but it presents its own set of challenges for undocumented immigrants. The state's agricultural industry, especially in meat packing and farming, draws immigrants seeking work. However, Iowa has implemented strict immigration policies, including mandatory e-verify requirements for employers. This has created a more difficult environment for undocumented individuals looking to find employment. Iowa's cooperation with federal immigration authorities has led to increased deportations, particularly during the Trump administration. The state's conservative stance on immigration has fostered fear among immigrant communities, who live in constant fear of being detained or deported. Despite these challenges, immigrants continue to play a crucial role in Iowa's agricultural economy, particularly in rural areas where labor shortages are common. Georgia is home to a large population of undocumented immigrants, with around 347,000 living in the state as of 2022. The state has earned a reputation for its tough immigration laws, which have been criticized for contributing to racial profiling and discrimination. Programs like 287G, which allows local law enforcement to collaborate with ICE, have led to increased deportations and a heightened sense of fear in immigrant communities. Georgia's immigration detention centers have also been a source of concern. Large facilities, like the Stewart Detention Center, are located in remote areas, making it difficult for detainees to access legal representation. The conditions in these centers have been criticized for inadequate healthcare and poor living standards. The state's approach to immigration enforcement, combined with the use of private detention centers, creates a hostile environment for undocumented individuals. Florida, with its large immigrant population, is another state that has become a focal point for immigration enforcement. In 2023, Florida had one of the largest shares of foreign-born residents in the U.S., with many immigrants coming from Latin America and the Caribbean. Florida's proximity to these regions has made it a major entry point for undocumented immigrants. However, this has also led to heightened scrutiny and enforcement actions. Under the Trump administration, Florida saw a significant increase in ICE raids and deportations. Policies requiring employers to verify the immigration status of their workers have contributed to racial profiling and discrimination. Florida's detention centers have faced criticism for overcrowding, inadequate health care, and poor living conditions. Despite these challenges, immigrants continue to play a crucial role in Florida's economy and culture, supporting industries like tourism, agriculture, and construction. Tennessee is home to a sizable immigrant community, With immigrants making up 5.4% of the state's population, immigrants play a crucial role in supporting the state's economy, particularly in agriculture and manufacturing. However, there are also around 150,000 undocumented immigrants in Tennessee who contribute significantly to the state's economy but often face significant obstacles. Tennessee has taken steps to curb illegal immigration, including proposed bills like House Bill 10, which would require local police to detain undocumented immigrants until ICE can take action. Critics argue that these policies could lead to unlawful detentions and strain local resources. Despite these challenges, immigrants remain a vital part of Tennessee's economy, and the state's approach to immigration continues to evolve. Alabama has earned a reputation as one of the toughest states for undocumented immigrants. The state passed HB 56 in 2011, one of the strictest immigration laws in the country, which required schools to check the immigration status of students and made it a crime to give a ride to an undocumented immigrant. Although parts of the law were blocked by courts, its legacy still impacts immigrant communities. Alabama continues to enforce strict immigration policies, cooperating closely with federal authorities to deport undocumented individuals. This has created a climate of fear, where even minor infractions can lead to serious consequences. The state's reliance on immigrant labor, especially in agriculture and construction, creates a tension between economic dependence and political opposition to undocumented immigration.
And that wraps up today's journey through some of the toughest states for undocumented immigrants in the U.S. It's clear that immigration policies and their enforcement can create significant challenges for many people who are simply seeking a better life. Understanding these issues is important because it helps us see the broader picture of what immigrants go through, and it's something that affects not only the individuals, but also the communities and economies of these regions. What do you think about the states we discussed today? Do you agree with our rankings? Or is there another state you believe should have made the list? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so be sure to drop a comment below. Let's keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about topics like this or explore the top 5 lists on different issues, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to discover Top 5. We've got tons of new content lined up, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Plus, hit the bell icon so you'll be the first to know when our next video drops. And if you haven't yet, be sure to share this video with your friends, family, or anyone who might find this topic important. Knowledge is power. And the more people understand the challenges of others, the more we can all work toward a better, more compassionate future. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you sticking with us until the end. Your support means a lot. Until next time, take care, stay informed, and keep exploring the world with Discover Top 5. See you in the next video. Bye for now.